He reaches up to scratch at his cheek and leaves a smudge of dirt there.
He probably went to like an actual therapist and they actually were like, hey, try gardening as a hobby to not wallow in your grief for a
Okay,
year.
I guess we'll leave it at that for now.
Thanks.
With a momentary lapse, the work continues. Shiyu attempts to grill Spork over his favorite flowers in specific, but his answer seems to be more or less everything with a side of cherry blossoms. And cherry blossoms are such an important staple of our culture that it's not really so remarkable for someone to have special feelings about them. No wonder he's decided to plant a plum tree here, since the sight of one in full flower is a bit similar to a cherry tree. She then attempts to grill him over his favorite anime and manga, but it turns out that he's never really watched or read that much of it. This leads Shiyu to ask what rock Spork has grown up under, to which Spork responds by laughing awkwardly. While she rattles off her general recommendations, I step back to check our work. We've gotten most of the bushes in, and the sun is lower in the sky than it was when we began, but I don't think it's quite time for us to stop yet. Looks as if Spork and Shiyu are actually working pretty well together, despite the fact that they never stop talking. I don't know, you seem to be the one that talks the most.
Yeah, like, she says that everybody doesn't stop talking, and I get that she's technically a narrator, but she's a very, 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 very loquacious narrator.
Yeah. There's still plenty of room in the flower beds to take care of the rest of the planting work, with room left over for the annuals to be put in a few months down the road, when the warmer temperatures will be steadier. Instead of spacing the bushes evenly, I've decided to cluster them up, which is more interesting visually. It means the color will be nice and apparent in different areas based on the time of year, rather than having everything all up in other plants' faces to make a big clashing mess of color and a lot of work for a gardener to prevent strong plants choking the life out of little ones. And there are
This is a lot about plants.
Listen, this game is about plants and art.
Listen, this is a lot about plants.
And there are only a couple of hydrangeas left to put in, so it looks as though we're going to be done with them before we head in.
Oh, but I don't have a TV. Look at that just broke her. This girl is so easily broken. How do you not have a TV, Senpai? Are you hearing this? What? Senpai, are you hearing this? We've got to do something. We have to go spend $200 and buy him a TV. We have to save Sporkchin from the deprivation of cable.
It seems as though the conversation I've been ignoring has taken a turn into left field. Somehow, with these participants, I can't drum up any surprise. We're working on landscaping right now. Electronics is pretty far from our job, don't you think? Besides, it's up to Spork. You don't actually need a television to survive. As long as you have a computer or the radio or buy newspapers, you can still check the weather, and at least the local news.
Actually, I don't have a computer either.
What, does he just use net cafes? I don't even know if we have any of those here. At least I've only ever seen them on school trips to Honshu.
Wow, even Senpai's making a what rock does this guy live under face now? Rude.
The internet's pretty important to life nowadays. This may just be my personal experience, but I'd have a harder time without the internet than I would without a TV. But we're not electronic salespeople or interior designers, so it's not up to us to correct Spork's totally pitiful lack of home ornamentation.
That's harsh.
Shiyu turns to Spork.
Sporkchin, Senpai just said your house is pitiful. Is it really?
Spork laughs before I have a chance to get worried that I've said too much.
I just moved in, so there isn't much furniture or anything. Oh!
A flinch runs through his body as though he's just had a static shock.
Ow.
I get a peculiar sensation like my mind is detaching from the rest of me. Not really aware of sound or feeling, I run the meter to the bush that Shiyu and Daya are supposed to be planting. Damn. I shouldn't have let Shiyu chatter on so much. Probably because he wasn't paying attention, Spork has somehow managed to slip up with his gardening shears and cut a wide gash open on his forearm.
Damn.
Why did you have to draw this part, Feral?
This is
Why?
this is intense.
He's bleeding.
No shit.
Bubbles are coming up with blood.
Oh god.
Spork grabs the wrist of his injured arm and clenches his hand into a fist. His hair swings forward so that I can't see his expression. Is he gonna heal it? That would be so cool.
Please tell me he's gonna heal it.
Shiyu is making a faint squeaking noise, but other than that, she's been struck silent. Idiot!
Well, whoever said it. Okay, there you go.
I
You
say
say
it
it
quietly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether I mean to insult Spork or Shiyu or myself. Come on. I grab Spork by the shoulder and pull him to his feet. Blood is running over his arm like a bright paint. You do have some kind of first aid kit somewhere, right?
In the saddlebags on my bike, but...
Then, Shiyu, go look for it. We're going inside. This needs to be washed and wrapped up. I only stopped pulling Spork long enough for us to take off our shoes.
It's really not that big a deal. I just cut it a little. I'm only bleeding like a stuck pig.
It's only a flesh wound.
It's only a flesh wound.
You can call something like this a little?
It's only a flesh wound.
I swear, this guy has no common sense. You are an idiot.
He's gonna start bleeding on you.
First of all, you cut yourself with dirty shears. Even if you weren't bleeding so much, you'd need to get it disinfected. But from the looks of things, this cut's either really deep or it's opened up a big artery. You're bleeding all over the place. Once we've got your arm taped up, we should go to the hospital and get a professional to look at you. This might need stitches. Thank goodness there's a filter on the sink. I wonder if the tap would be safe out here on the edges of town, but there's a small filter on the end of the faucet which is good enough for now. I turned the faucet on and pulled Spork's arm underneath the spray to wash away the blood. He flinches, maybe from the temperature and maybe because the sudden sensation feels like pain, with his nerves already dealing with the stress of the cut. The water is cold, of course. I know better than to wash out a cut with hot water.
Saying I have to go to the hospital is an exaggeration. Did they add blood to that, too?
They did.
God damn it.
Spork squirms in my grip for the first time.
I know it looks bad, but I heal fast because I'm a demon, and besides, this is the kind of thing where it'll heal just fine if you lick it. Oh my god.
Just how stupid are you? Look at it for yourself.
I am looking at it. It's already not bleeding so much, honestly.
Like an idiot, I glanced down at his arm again. With most of the blood washed away, it does seem like the fresh blood flow has slowed down to a trickle, and come to think of it, the cut itself looks shallower than I first thought. That's odd.
He's a demon.
I'm not such a stranger to injuries that I should mistake the depth of a laceration like this, but maybe I just didn't get a close enough look at first because I was busy leaping into action. The vague uneasiness and the sense that something is off here add to my annoyance. This is what I get for letting amateurs handle dangerous supplies. Even I can tell this is a little unfair while the words are coming out of my mouth. I know this much about first aid specifically because I've had plenty of stupid accidents in my life between art and gardening and martial arts. But I'm so mad that I feel like I'm going to have to throttle somebody unless I let my feelings out somehow.
Somehow. Senpai, I found the first aid kit.
Thankfully, Shiyu provides a distraction in the form of pattering into the kitchen with a slightly battered box in tow. I turned the faucet off and pulled Spork's arm out from the sink. Giving directions to Shiyu, I wipe his bare skin down and spray the cut with disinfectant. Spork whimpers about the disinfectant, but he's quiet when I put antibiotic cream on the cut and wrap his arm up. I'm so mad that I could throw him into a wall for his stupidity, but I force myself not to. Sure, Spork's handling the fact that his injury like a guilty 3-year-old, but he's an amateur and I'm a professional, and so some of the responsibility for his getting hurt is mine. Taking my anger out on Spork isn't going to solve anything. Keep your arm elevated as much as possible and don't do any strenuous activity with it until it started healing. Obviously we're done working for today. I'll put the last hydrangeas in tomorrow and I'll take care of the rest of the planting by myself too. You can't work with your arm like that.
Strike pose.
Spork leans to one side. We're sitting at the kitchen table in his blindingly empty kitchen. I wipe the blood off the floor and Shiyu is making tea. Initially, Spork tried to make the tea, but I persuaded him otherwise with a nice threat to rip him another one if he wanted to make it much worse.
I keep telling you, I heal fast, so it should be fine in a day or two.
I will believe that when I see it.
It's his superpower. It's his superpower.
Spork shrugs like it's not his problem.
I'm sorry to make you worry, though.
At least he recognizes it. I pick up a pen and scribble on a napkin to divert my irritation. She brings the tea and everyone takes a cup. The atmosphere is awkward, probably because I'm still so obviously angry. There's no helping that.
You could, not be angry.
Mm-hmm.
That's an option.
There was one other thing I wanted to know. Oh, that's you.
There's one other thing I wanted to know.
Pushing her teacup around, Shiu speaks up.
It's still really cold out, Sporkchin. Even though Senpai and everyone else has warned you about the weather here in Hokkaido, why'd you still decide to start landscaping so early? I think I already said so to Mo, but I was excited.
Spork smiles.
My bike is something that I can take with me everywhere I go, but that doesn't work so well with flowers and plants. You can really only make a garden in a place if you're living there. This town is a place where I want to live, so when I got everything settled and I knew there was room for me to live here, I just got so excited to be able to do things with my own space that I couldn't wait.
I shade off the side of my lazy napkin drawing. It's not that I'm not still angry, because I am. It's more that, having those feelings of wanting to define one's own space and play around with it is something that I can understand. Spork drinks his tea. I notice that it's quiet. Shiu is watching me scribble with big, intent eyes and a kind of seriousness that's almost uncharacteristic.
Wow. Just a similarity there.
I know, they look like little children. It's cute.
Me too. Oh!
Spork leans in.
Mo, you're drawing.
I look down at the napkin. Yes, I'm drawing. I don't think it's very good, but I suppose it's impressive to the eyes of an average person. It's only a little pen doodle on a napkin.
Sounds like me thinking about my own writing.
Mm-hmm.
Senpai is an artist. It's only natural for her to draw.
She puffs her chest out and brags about me like she's talking about herself. Flowers.
Really?
Spork turns to look at me wide-eyed. For what it's worth, I just shrug. Although my specialty is painting and design, not sketching. Since Spork seems to like it, I slide the napkin over to the table to him and indicate that he can keep it.
I thought that the recommendations you made and where plants should go are different somehow. I see. That explains everything.
Hey now. If you had complaints, then you should have told me. It's your yard, you know. I told you way back when you decided to hire me that if I went against your plans too much, you should be firm and override my choices.
I don't mean that in a bad way. The garden isn't fully planted yet, but even what's already there feels kind of like I'm able to look at the plants there in ways that I haven't before.
Wow. Being told that, especially with an expression as earnest as Spork's, is a nice boost to the ego. Yeah, so count yourself lucky. You've got a future superstar in the design world doing your landscaping for you. If this were any later in my career, you'd have to pay through their nose to get a project like this done. Spork laughs. When we leave, Shiu and I wind up walking the bike back after a while. Even though our job ended prematurely thanks to some idiot, and we didn't get all the projected work in, there was still a lot of planting, which means a lot of soreness, sweaty clothes, and generally dirty pants. So in that state, it's only natural that there's only so long we'd want to ride together.
I'm kinda glad Sporkchin came to this town.
Shiu proclaims this very suddenly. Why? Because now you have someone who's on the same wavelength to you?
No, well, I guess there's that too, but what I meant was I'm glad you met him, Senpai.
I look at the girl walking beside me with the best sidelong glower I can muster. I hope you're not reading romance into this, because so far nothing like that's going on. It's a relief that nothing like that's going on, honestly.
Yeah, romance is probably the last thing on her brain. Oh no, nothing like that, Senpai. If Sport-chin had designs on you, I would stand up and fight him in your defense. I know you're not interested in loving boys right now.
But maybe girls.
Maybe girls. Them marshmallows.
Yep, too right you are. But now I'm stuck wondering what she actually does mean.
I mean, you haven't drawn to pass the time in ages. That's what she means.
She's right. Shit. She was attentive about things like this. I painted and painted in the winter, but nothing showed up on the canvases other than snowscapes. That was what the world looked like on the outside, and that was what it felt like inside my head. It would have been pointless to doodle on scrap paper or in sketchbooks, even if I'd been in the mood to do so. But at Spork's house, I drew stupid trellis patterns on a napkin the way that I used to drive all my teachers nuts.
And I missed seeing the way that you would leap into action whenever someone needed you, to help them or yell at them, but you were able to do that for Sport-chin today, Senpai.
To be honest, it's a little frustrating. Oh, that's you.
To be honest, it's a little frustrating that I couldn't do this for you, but I'm just glad you're reacting to things more like yourself. Maybe you just needed to meet somebody new and different at this point.
Maybe. We head back in peace and quiet. In the distance, the sun is beginning to go down. She was humming some song that's popular on the internet, and I wish I'd thought to bring an MP3 player along for backdrop to my thoughts. After tomorrow, Spork's garden will be finished. And after that, Sunday.
Mo? Mo mine?
I look up from my desk with a half mind to give whoever had just misread my name a good smack. Any number of grown-ups had told me since the first start of school that it was unladylike to keep attacking people who got it wrong, that I was overreacting, but those grown-ups were all full of it, and had names that were written in normal ways, so they had no right to talk. The kid in front of me was a girl, one of my new classmates. She had big curly hair like a fashion model, brown eyes, and a mole under her big mouth.
That's a mole?
Yeah, it's a mole.
That's one hell of a mole.
I went to a public school, elementary school that didn't have a uniform, meaning we all came to school in our own clothes, and the girl was dressed up like a doll or a child star on TV, in the kind of clothing that'd come to mind based on the words like cute or girly. I'd never been in class with her. Obviously, she stood out with her hair and that mole, so I'd have remembered her if we had, but more importantly, nobody ever misread my name after I'd yelled at them. Geez, this has never happened back when we were little enough to have furigana on our name at cards. It's Tomomi, okay? Geez, who has a name like Tomomi anyway? That's not even a word.
Your face is Zord. Oh.
The girl put her hand up to her mouth, looking interested. I remember thinking that her nails were cute and pink and perfectly filed, unlike mine, which were ragged because I kept biting them.
So you're supposed to read the peaks kanji as me. That's pretty weird.
What possessed my parents to slap me with such a ridiculous name? Unfortunately, I was still at the age where I was so small, even if I got angry, my parents had trouble taking me seriously. My mother's name was spelled pretty unusually too, but that should be no reason to do to me what her parents had done to her. While I was busy wondering whether I should kick my new classmate in the shins or just sink down in my desk in frustration and despair, the girl took off her wrench cell and started rummaging through it. Eventually, she pulled out a marker, and as I stared at her, she started writing on her palm.
This is my name. Can you read it?
My new classmate, who had just told me how weird my name was, held her hand up like she wanted me to give her a high five. Written in fat strokes on her palm were the kanji for summer and call. She must not have expected me to be able to read it because she grinned.
I'm Natsuko. The kanji for ko is awfully weird, isn't it? So I'm happy I got to meet somebody else whose name is written weird like mine.
She kept grinning at me as if she hadn't noticed that I'd been irritated at her, and she sat down in the desk to my right. She spent the 10 minutes it took for our teacher to show up asking me what my favorite subjects were. By the end of the day, we were already friends. It's a sad age when people have to set their alarms and wake up by a certain time on Sunday. Either because yesterday was unnecessarily stressful or because I was dreaming about things that I didn't wish to dream about, I was already in a bad mood and I'm not even out of bed yet. I just want to roll over and go back to sleep, but if I'm late to work, the landscaping won't get finished today. If I wind up working in tomorrow, then Spork will have to pay me more, when we definitely have been able to get everything done today if he hadn't gotten hurt, which only happened because I was an idiot and didn't pay enough attention to the amateur. Under no circumstances will I work an extra day without being paid, but if I took Spork's money when it was my mistake more than his, I'd hurt my pride and I'd feel bad about it. So I really need to get up.